Good evening, everyone. It's Danny Young, your host tonight for Nutters Calling. Joining me is Justin, North Carolina Assassin, and we've got head of the Prediction League, Joe Kennedy. Good evening, gents.
How's it going?
All good, all good. So I'm here, a few beers in hand, and you've got two choices. You can either talk about the politics of Eurovision, or you can talk about the politics of boxing. And thankfully, you boys have joined me for a bit of politics on boxing, because I cannot stand Eurovision whatsoever. Anyway, so we'll have a little. I'll have a little go through what's on tonight, and then we'll chime in and see if we want to discuss it a bit further. And if not, we'll move on to the big one next week. So we've got Jason Maloney versus Vincent Astrolabeo, I believe is how you pronounce it, Astrolabeo. Actually, I mean, I don't know much about this Astrolabeo, but interestingly, I've picked him for a KO tonight. So Justin, Joe, Justin, you're not in the prediction league, are you?
No, thankfully I'm not in the prediction league.
Okay, so if you was in the prediction league, any thoughts on that fight at all?
Well, yeah, hypothetically, if I was in the prediction league, which my life's a whole lot better because I'm not in the prediction league, I want to go with. I don't know who the guy is either. I have no idea who he is either. So I'm just going to go with Maloney because I don't really know who the other guy is.
I think the other guy is the guy who fought Rigondeaux, right?
Yeah, so he's the guy that beat Rigondeaux.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's
Filipino.
That still don't mean anything because Rigondeaux sucks. So I'm gonna. He'll probably be Maloney then, because Maloney, he's decent, but that's all he is. Yeah.
We lost Justin there a little bit.
No, we're good. I didn't want to hear it though.
That's all right. We've got Damo's just joined the call. Evening, Damo. I'll come to you in a minute. Joe, yeah, I went for the Filipino purely on the basis that obviously younger. I think he's just slightly younger fighter, maybe. I can't remember now. And I just for me, sometimes these Filipino fighters, bearing in mind I didn't see the Rigondeaux fight, they have a bit more of an engine in them, and I just wonder whether Maloney's on the slide a little bit.
Yeah, it's a fantastic name he's got there. Anyway, Astrolabio, it's brilliant to really take you somewhere out of worldly. Just saying it, but I think that Maloney will probably frustrate him and keep it very much on terra firma tonight. I think I can see Maloney boxing and moving and kind of racking up the points and getting a decision. I think that the Filipino will probably come late, and I think Maloney might have to hang on a little bit to get the points. Right, that's why I went in the league, and I'm backing it as well. But I think Maloney's actually a pretty decent fighter. I think he's he's obviously had the loss to Inoue, but there's no real shame in that. And I think it was a split decision loss to Manuel Rodriguez again, who's a pretty good operator. I think he's definitely in the round world level. I'm not sure Astrolabio is just by beating an absolutely washed Rigondeaux. I think the fight tonight, though, for me is the one on the undercard. It's Akhmedov versus Kenny Sims Jr.
Yeah,
and that's a good fight. I think I put that in the prediction league as well. I actually saw Kenny Sims Jr. beat Elvis Rodriguez on the Taylor Ramirez undercard, and nobody had picked that at all because Elvis Rodriguez, or was it Sanders? No, it was Elvis Rodriguez. Yeah, he was like really tipped as a big prospect, and Sims Jr. just went in and he acted spoiler and beat him up. He really put it on the young man, and I think Sims Jr. He's a really crafty fighter. He's a bit of a spoiler, and I think Akhmedov, who's got a big engine and like a big output, will just come for 12 rounds. I think that's just got a real clash of styles. That'll be pretty entertaining tonight, I think. So looking forward to that one. And then we touched on a little bit on the main event. Raleigh versus the corpse, the mummified corpse of Ishmael Barroso. It's just a disgrace of a fight. So
he looks in a bad way, doesn't he? Like prior fight. I mean, I haven't seen anyone that gaunt for a long time.
He looks like the early stages of that lad, the Neanderthal fella who's hangs around with Suleiman. Like, the first stage of that is what Ishmael Barroso's gone through.
I think the big key is how does Romero even get a title shot? That's one of the biggest. I think that's more bullshit to me than the fact that he's fighting the guy who's about to die.
Yeah, Head is getting knocked out by Tank Davis, which is title fight.
Yeah, I don't know how they're justifying. I mean, they justify whatever they want to, but I don't even know how he gets in this. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because boxing does whatever the hell it wants, but still, it's like he's going to knock. I mean, he should knock Barroso out and get a championship that he didn't deserve, but I mean, it just is what it is.
So they're both coming off losses, are they?
I think so.
I think
No.
Barroso's coming off a win. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's had a few since since
Roddy beat Yiggit as well. Roddy beat Yiggit as well, didn't he? Anthony Yiggit.
Did he? Oh, is that feels like? Oh, you might be right. I'm just looking at BoxRec now. He lost to Davis was his last fight. So like Justin's just said, fuck knows how they. Yiggit was the one before Davis, but fuck knows how they come up with these putting these fights together and who's fighting for the belts, because it's sometimes it's just atrocious. We've got Damo joining us on the call. Damo, good evening. You well, mate?
I'm very well, folks. Everyone okay?
Yeah, all good. All good. Anything you want to talk about, discuss the fights going on tonight? You know, you got Maloney, Astra Labeo, Alim Kanuli versus Butler, Romero Barroso, sorry.
So you know me, I'm Captain Casual here. So I'm literally, I'm fourth in the league though. Somehow I've got no idea how that's.
No one's casual when they're fourth in the league, mate. Don't write yourself out. Don't put yourself down.
Praise be to BoxRec, right? But yeah, I think I went Astrowitz Labias to win by KO, and I think I went Akhmedov to go by KO as well. So. And in terms of the Romero fight, I mean, for God's sake, that guy, his opponent, I think I put on the chat that he looks like that alien that's dying out of cocoon. It's just absolutely. And I've just had a look at his picture on BoxRec, and it's not much better. If you had a look at this picture, it's on BoxRec.
I haven't, and I can. I'm going to have a look at it now.
Have a look now. If you don't laugh, Danny, there's something wrong. He's got some wings on him.
Wow, yeah, he's well, if he loses tonight, he can fly home quickly. That's all I can say. So.
How old are they claiming Barroso is? I can't remember
40,
how old he is.
40.
No way. 55 would be the day. There's no way. You know that because they all lie. She's like, there's no way. He's like that player Lazio had who said he was 17. Remember, they thought he was like 47. I don't know if y'all remember that. That was like a couple of years ago. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way it's 40. No way.
He's the boxing's equivalent of Obafemi Martins. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well, you know, like to be honest with you, like it's a shambles really, because you see the state of him obviously leading up to this fight tonight, and someone should just pull him to one side and say, mate, you don't look in a good way. Like if he's boiling down that much, I mean, it's really dangerous for someone's health, right? You can't be having that. It could, you know, it could end up like in a really bad way tonight, because Rolly can dig, you know, he can punch as well. So I worry for him, to be honest with you, Barroso.
If he looks that bad on the outside, like his skin and his eyes, and I imagine what his organs must look like on the inside. He's in a bad way, I'd say.
Well, the outside looked like he had about 400 fags a day, so the inside ain't going to look any better, is it? It's not good. Yeah. It really isn't. It's really worrying. Like it really is. But you know, good luck to him. If it's a payday, I mean, like this really. If he loses this, he needs to call it a day, because he doesn't look well at all.
But what if he goes in 120, 108, Roddy, and then he goes in against Subir and Matthias next?
Oh, fucking hell. You don't want it, do you? No one wants to see it. So. No one wants to see it.
Elderly abuse like that now, it would be pretty bad.
Mm.
Just a question, Danny. Not jumping ahead, because I know we're going to talk about it, but we've obviously got the Haney Lomachenko fight we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. Is that the same weight as Haney's last fight? Because he looked awful at that, didn't he? Pre-fight.
Yeah,
when he fought Kambosos.
135,
I believe it is, isn't it?
Confirmed, yeah. 135, yeah. I think one of the things that was in the lead up to this, that was like a contentious issue, I think that was related to that, Damo, was Ramadan they're currently doing Ramadan in Muslims, and so I think Haney wanted to postpone the fight till after Ramadan, but Top Rank dug in their heels and made him do it now. So he's not like, I was watching the what's it called, All or Nothing or whatever, and they were showing Haney. He's not observing Ramadan this time around because he doesn't want to fuck with the weight at all. Like, I think he must be very tight at it. They don't want to give Ant the chance. Like,
yeah. Right. Well, I'll tell you what, we've segued into it, and I think obviously we've got more to talk about on that one. So we'll park tonight's action and we'll go straight onto that then. So obviously we've got like you said, we've got Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko next weekend for all the belts, all the marbles. I'll say my little bit, and then obviously I will go around and ask and chat to you boys about what you think. So the way I see it is, I definitely think Haney's size might play a factor in this. You know, I know he's like you said, Damo. You know, he looks like he's trying to shred himself down a little bit. He's a big fella, but I do think, like, when it comes to fight night, you know, I'm not sure if there's any clauses in place about rehydration and things like that yet. But when he comes into the ring, he does look massive compared to some of the people. I mean, against Kambosos, he looked enormous compared to Kambosos. And with that Kambosos fight, I actually think he won that without really showing anything special. You know, he was sturdy, jab was good, you know, but for me, there was nothing jazzy about it. There was nothing that made me sit up and think, well, bloody hell, he's a world beater. And then we come on to Lomachenko, and I think inactivity in the last few years is definitely going to be a problem. Obviously, his age now, being 35, is another factor that maybe you have to consider into this. But you know, I like a fairy tale, and if we look back over recent times, we've had people like Martinez, Donaire, Chocolatito that have all dug out, you know, one final kind of last hurrah, if you like, you know. And I know Donaire, for me, obviously he lost that fight against Inoue, but he came out a champion after that. I really thought, you know, that he showed something special. So I just wonder if there's one last hurrah from Lomachenko, because, you know, there's still life in the old dog. Well, I certainly think there's still life in the old dog yet. And then the only other thing I can really think about is that the only person that I consider that's really caused Devin Haney any problems up to now was during the Linares fight. And if we're going to be cynical about it, then you would say that the one person that has got the same attributes and skill but at another level, it's Lomachenko to Linares. And I just wonder whether that will become a factor in this Devin Haney fight. But anyway, Justin, I've waffled on for too long. Give us your breakdown on your thoughts and your feelings about this fight and how you think it might go.
I kind of agree with you on the Kambosos thing, because I think Kambosos is trash. I've always thought he's not that good. And that's the thing about Haney. Haney is really good at a lot of things, but he's not great at anything. Like, he's got all the fundamentals, he's got all the basics, but I think he's good, but I don't think he's special. That's the best way to put it. And I thought Lomachenko was special. So basically, I think what you just said, if Lomachenko has anything left and can bring it, I think he can win. But you're right, the size. If Haney, though, can still make the way to not absolutely kill himself, he should, size-wise and enough ability, to probably win a tight points decision.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about the outcome of it yet. I think I'm still going to park it until we get to it. I'm hoping Joe sticks this one in the prediction league next week, Joe. So tell me, right or wrong?
Well, that's my prediction then. I don't worry about it.
Joe, is it one for the prediction league?
Oh yeah, 100%. This and the Katie Taylor fight.
Magic. There you go.
Yeah.
So coming in, Joe. Give me a rundown of this one. Come on. I think either way, it's going to be a fantastic fight, and I think there's going to be some very technical aspects to it, which obviously I'm not equipped to talk about. So unfortunately, we're going to have to hand it over to you, mate, to tell us all.
I'm certainly not equipped to talk about it, but I'll have to caveat what I'll say just by, Loma is probably my favorite fighter at the moment, and I definitely look at him and his career and his abilities, as much as rose tinted glasses as you could, but like whenever he's in town in New York, I try and see him in the garden, and he's just class. Like I really like him. So I'll throw that quick caveat out before I give you any analysis or breakdown. But I think he's in a really tough fight against Haney. I think Haney probably his jab is really, really good. He's got good footwork as well, and he's not afraid to make it an ugly fight. And win that way with just probably a jab, right hand, and hug. We saw a little bit of him doing that against Kambosos, who I think we're all in agreement is not really a world level fighter. Probably he was world level that night against Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo Lopez wasn't on it that night. But I think that I was at the Loma fight against Jermaine Ortiz, which I thought was an interesting fight to take. He's a young, big guy as well with a good jab, and who also held and worked a little bit in the clinch. And I was a little bit worried when I watched that fight, thinking if Haney's next and Ortiz is able to wrap up Loma and work a little bit and give him as much trouble as he did, then is Haney just going to be too good and rack up the points? And I think that's definitely a real possibility of it happening, especially if Loma takes 6 rounds to get into the fight like he did against Teofimo Lopez.
Do you really think though, Joe? Do you really think that Haney's jab can keep Loma, out of distance? And
it's a very fast jab, and it's a stiff jab. He puts variation on it as well, and he moves around with it as well. Like his feet are good, so. It's not like just the kind of jab that you can time and move off like the way Usyk was with Joshua. Although I think Loma definitely has the ability to do that, and he probably will do it at some stage and do his little angles off the jab and stuff.
Yeah, his footwork's going to be key in this, right?
Yeah, it is absolutely. But I think he needs to get going straight away and start asking questions of Haney straight away, because Haney hasn't really fought an operator on this level yet. So
no.
He needs to start asking questions early, make Haney panic, make Haney down himself, and then, bully him, really, old man him as well. Like he needs to kind of get a little bit rough, and because Haney's not going to be afraid to make it rough as well. So I think he's got to be ready for that aspect of it. Haney's going to try to bully him and use his size as well. But I think it's a fight that Loma can win. I'm going to be backing him to win as well. And that's because I'm a fan, obviously, as well. But I can genuinely see his paths to victory as well. I think, like you said, using his footwork, getting in and out of angles, asking questions of the man, asking questions of the young man that he's probably not been asked before. And just quickly on the Linares thing, I think you're right. Linares has been Haney's toughest test to date, but also Linares was a big test for Lomachenko as well. I was at that fight and he was putting his arse by Linares in the 5th, I think it was. Yeah, and but he got up and he finished him to the body, but he was, it wasn't just. It wasn't all plain sailing in that fight either. Linares is a quality operator, so I wouldn't.
But Joe, if you put those two Linares fights side by side, Haney Linares and Lomachenko Linares, I'd still pick Lomachenko over it, just purely on the way that he boxed in that fight, where Haney was a little bit more just conventional, a bit more cautious, right?
Yeah, definitely. Haney was just trying to go to 12 rounds in that fight, and then he got caught in the 11th, stumbled back to his corner. And looked that way, but he recovered pretty well.
Yeah, that's the question, because Haney's never had to turn up that gear.
Yeah,
I don't think he's ever had to go up that next level, because even though Linares was a tough fight, he still, like you said, Haney still never got out of first gear. He still never changed. Can he get out of it? And Lomachenko, if Lomachenko's going to win, he'll have to get out of it. I don't think he can beat Lomachenko. If Lomachenko's at his best and he's ready to go, there's no way Haney can just do the old 1-2, 1-2, and that whole fight. There's no way. He'll have to open it.
Unless Lomachenko waits again. Lomachenko waited 7
rounds. No, he can't wait. No, he can't wait.
So
he can't do that, though, can he?
Then I agree with you. He can't wait,
He can't do that.
If Lomachenko brings it and he's ready, Haney has to see if he has that gear. And I honestly don't think he has a massive next step up. I think this is kind of who he is.
Yeah, I think the power of Teofimo Lopez probably maybe made Lomachenko hesitant early in that fight, and I don't think Haney has probably the same pop to keep Lomachenko hesitant. So I'm hopeful that he's not as hesitant as early in the fight, but You know, that's Haney's path to victory, is rack up the points early and then survive the onslaught later on. You know.
Yeah. Damo, one for you there. Look, is Loma boxing's version of Ronnie O'Sullivan with all those angles? What are we saying?
Oh, beautifully put, young man. Beautifully put. Look, I'll keep it simple, right? This feels to me, even though what is this? Is it only his 20th professional fight for Lomachenko? I mean, it just seems incredible saying that. I mean, it really does. I think Haney's had about 10 more fights, hasn't he? He's about 10 years younger.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I just look at it as Lomachenko's just got to go for it, right? He can't afford. I mean, what I mean by that is he can't afford just to let this play out. It's his last chance to lose, as I can see it. As you say, based on his age, he wants to get those belts back. I'm not sure. I mean, I've seen a few things. I'm not quite sure. I get the feeling that Lomachenko is the A side for Toprak on this one. I'm happy to take opinion from.
Having heard from Joe and Justin there saying that they'd made Haney fight during Ramadan, is that right?
Yeah. So
that would suggest to me that obviously Bob's got his back in Loma on this one then. Yeah.
So it just says to me, I just think he can't do what he did against Lopez, right? He's got to understand how Haney's going to sort of box the first few rounds, and I think he's just going to have to say, right, I'm going to attack, and I'm just going to have to try and finish this. I don't know if he will finish it with a KO, but I'd like to think that it would be more dominant. He just can't do the same thing he did against Lopez.
So I can't see this fight ending in a KO either way. To be honest with you.
No.
And I think I'm kind of with Joe. I'm kind of. It's one of those ones where your heart wants Loma, but your head is swaying towards it could be Haney, but then my head's telling me that if Lomachenko comes out and performs, old school Lomachenko way, where he's, throwing angles and there's that accumulation of punching as opposed to the power, I think Haney's going to be in some real bother. But then again, like you say, if Haney can take the middle of the ring and keep Lomachenko, out of distance off the back of that quick jab, then it's going to be hard for Lomachenko to try and work inside and start using those angles.
Yeah. I think he's got to find a way, right? He's just got to find a way. For me, he's got no choice.
He kind of fights in bursts, Loma. He does 10, 15 seconds of amazing stuff, and then he kind of uses feints to kind of fill it in the space. Otherwise, I think Haney's going to try and work and really pile up the jab during those times, and then just survive. Those just angles and footwork attacks that Loma kind of does.
Joe, do you think he'll try and tie him up as well?
Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think he'll be jab, right hand, tie up. That'll be the sequence that he'll follow. I think it'll be frustrating to watch if he manages to get the victory. But I don't think Haney has any problem in doing it that way.
So, are we all in agreement that we think this is going the distance, right?
Definitely.
All right. If we are, then I'm going to stick my neck out and say I think there'll be a couple of rounds in it. I think it'll be close, but I think it will just be 2 or 3 rounds in it. And at this point in time, I want to kind of go with my heart and say Lomachenko. So Justin, what are you saying on this one? Your predictions for this one?
I'm going to think Haney's going to do just enough to win, maybe a round by round or two, just enough.
Okay, interesting. Joe, sorry.
Yeah, I think Loma will just shade. I think it's going to be close though as well. I think it'll be.
I hope Lomachenko wins, but I pray he wins, but I just kind of realistic. I think Haney will. Like I said, Haney's I think just going to do enough, and I don't think Lomachenko is going to bring it the whole time. I just think he's going to. I think maybe age and just injuries and everything. I don't think he's not the same guy. I just don't think it's not going to be what it was. And Haney is going to be able to bully him just a little bit and just do enough, the Klitschko style, like you said, and she'll just be able to eke it out.
Yeah, I think it'd be one of those we're looking back at and be like, oh, I wish they had a fought 4 years ago or 3 years ago,
Exactly. Yeah.
2 years ago. I'd be like, oh, it would have been different, you know. But I'm hoping that Loma will just shade it. But yeah, like I said, a big caveat of a massive Loma fan, you know.
Damo,
Going with my heart. So Lomachenko.
go on, get in there.
Well, I mean, come on, it's.
I can
Justin's arguments are absolutely bob on, right? I get it, but I'm going heart rather than head on this one.
I can just see it being 115, 113 either way. Like I think it's that close a fight.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the only other thing I'd say is again using the wondrous box rec. If you look back at the Linares fights for both of them, I mean, even with the Haney Linares one, it wasn't close, but it was relatively close on the cards. Whereas obviously with Lomachenko and Linares, it was very close, and I think it was it the 10th round that it finished.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously he'd been put on his ass once, hadn't he? So.
See, that's why I got out of the prediction league, because now I think Haney's going to win, but I don't have to pick him to. I don't have to pick him to win, and I kind of half-ass root for him. I'm like, I want Lomachenko to knock him out, but I kind of know what's going to happen. So now I don't have to sit back and relax and not worry about anything. Just watch. I can just watch and be like, okay, that's what I thought was going to happen, but damn, it sucks. I don't have to root for Haney. Because like I said, I was sitting there. You turn around, you're like, "Fuck! Why the hell am I rooting for this guy? I can't stand that son of a bitch." But it's like you want to win the league, and like you kind of, it took it away from me. It took it away.
Justin, when you're like me and Steve Wellings, who have already won the league, we can just sit back like you and just enjoy
Exactly.
it.
Rick. Yeah.
It's peaceful now. It's like you just gotta sit back like, oh, whatever, it's done. That's the way I feel about it.
What's that? 26 minutes in, and you've mentioned the win already, man. Okay.
I didn't. I was going to mention it. I was going to mention it in the first minute, and I didn't. All right, give me some slack, Joe. Come on.
Program.
Love
But
it.
look, like you're right though. Like prediction league aside, like this one, I just want to sit back and enjoy it and hope it's a spectacle it turns out to be, because I'll be disappointed if there's lots of there's lots of cuddling and lots of ref breaking it up when they're like close up inside and all the rest of it, because it just needs to I don't know. I think it just needs to kind of catch fire, that one, and for it to be good. And if both boxers box to their highest ability, I definitely think it will be one to watch back in future. But we'll see. We will see. It'll be very.
Does anyone know about a rematch clause? If there's any, or if there's one way, or what's the story? I guess that would be more A side.
No idea on that one. Because obviously I'd asked about rehydration if there was anything like that, but
yeah,
I have no idea.
I know he has options on Haney, so this might be like his last option on Haney. So I don't know if he has because I know Haney's not signed with him. It's just like he picked up a
fight,
2 or 3. Yeah, so I don't think he would have I don't know if there is a rematch or not. But even if they rematch, even if there is a rematch, I don't think Haney will take it. If he wins, he won't take it, because I think this is his last fight at 35, regardless of what happens.
Well, I was kind of asking because I think that Bob is also trying to maneuver the winner against Shakur.
Yeah,
right.
Which will be an unbelievable fight, really, both ways. I think Shakur is probably. I think he's better than Haney. I think he definitely beats Haney, and depending on how good Lomachenko looks against Haney, I'd still probably pick Shakur to beat Loma. But I think that both of those fights would be unbelievable.
Let's drain Barroso down to 135. See if he can make it.
Is DeBella still involved as well? Isn't there some kind of cross sort of link up with Haney and DeBella and Arum?
Is DeBella involved with Haney? Yeah,
I've got a feeling.
I don't know. I was actually at a Haney show. I saw the Haney Abdullayev fight in Madison Square Garden. He headlined that. It was a matchroom show. It was when he was on the zone on the app, but I'm not sure if there's many other DeBella fighters. Actually, do you know, it might have been actually because your man Joe Ward was on the undercard. I think he's a DeBella fighter, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is, isn't he?
I think he is. So
I saw him in the crowd beforehand.
So we're saying that Uncle Bob still got, regardless of the outcome, Uncle Bob still got Haney's Well, he's still got some fights in his deal to go because he didn't.
I thought it was a 3-fight deal, wasn't it?
It was 3 fights. I think it was.
Oh, was it 3?
It was
so this was the last
Cambosa's.
one.
Yeah, it was Cambosa's 2, and then one after that. I think is what it was.
Well, if Haney wins, I can't see him go. I don't see him wanting to go anywhere else. Given that, like Joe just mentioned, if it's the Shakur Stevenson fight after that, then you'd want to hang around for that, right? Because Bob's going to put money behind Shakur, right?
That's got to be the carrot, isn't it? To use a
so.
Bellew phrase.
But I mean, who knows? I mean, let's fantasize. If Loma wins, what same path then, Joe? You reckon?
Yeah, I think it'd be Shakur after that. Then, yeah.
That'd be good. That's a good fight, man. I mean, like you say, either way, I'm taking that.
Shakur's hands are so fast, but like he wouldn't. He's not come up against someone with like Lomachenko's footwork, and Shakur's footwork is really weird. He's got like really wide base, and he just kind of uses his feet. Like he moves kind of minimally. He's unbelievably good at judging the range, and he only has to have like small, tiny movements in and out of range, whereas Lomachenko moves with these like kind of willy pep triangles, like in and out of range. And if there's 2 really different styles, it would be like a chess match kind of.
You gotta think about this though. What if Lomachenko beat Haney and Shakur Stevenson? That would have to put him like, where would he even rank as all-time fighter then if he was able to beat both of them?
Yeah.
That's like a ridiculous run now for especially his age and everything. That would be like, that'd be great if it happened. But yeah, that would be some. I don't know where he would go then. People couldn't talk shit about him anymore.
Yeah, 100%. But you'd still have geeks who'd be like, "Oh, Orlando Salido must have been the greatest featherweight."
Yeah, you're right. I don't care who he beats. Somebody always goes to the Salido name. But people need to forget. People forget though. Salido was a good fighter. It wasn't like he was a bum that beat him. Salido was a good, like bigger guy. But Salido was a good fighter. He might have had a bad record, but he was good.
Show me a tougher second fight. Show me a tougher second fight than Orlando.
No, I mean Salido was good. I mean Salido was. Yeah, I mean he's just one of those guys that the record and maybe you think he should have beat him, but Salido was a good fighter. I mean he wasn't a bum at all.
No, yeah, that was ballsy to take that as a second fight, right? Really
so ballsy. And like Lomachenko, I mean, people forget, like not people forget, but like people, like I think tend to overlook the balls in the clock that a nearly 400 amateur fight, amateur career does to you as well, you know. So just to go in at the peak like that, like you said, he's probably at his physical prime when he left the arms into the pros, but like the balls on him to go straight into a 12-round fight with a Mexican who is just going to be coming all fucking night long as well. One of the toughest men in the sport. And then just get your bollocks chopped off as well all the way through. Like, he's a tough bastard, you know.
So, yeah, here's a thought as well. So, if we think that Haney's done at this weight, I was just looking at who we've got a super lightweight, and there's a few names there like floating around that could be interesting dance partners for Haney if he was to move up there. He's got people like, he could come in and fight a Cepeda as a first one just to get, I mean, will he need to get used to the weight? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But you got Pedraza, Sandor Martin, and then obviously
I would say Cepeda's done, I think. Just mention him. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't look the same fighter at all.
No, he's done. He's good.
I know, but it's an easy one, isn't it?
You're right, though. That's the world we live in now. Even though he shouldn't have to have a warm-up fight, he will have a warm-up fight at 140. That's just the way it's done now. Yeah. You're right. He'll have to fight. And Cepeda would be a good warm-up because he's not the same guy. He would probably stop Cepeda.
That's it. It's going to make him look good. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You look at it now. The way it happens now. The minute someone moves up in weight, then hardly anyone ever really, unless they're like world champions, ever fights anyone in the top 10 straight away. They normally take a little bit of an outsider just to make themselves look good. But you could fight Teofimo Lopez at that weight. You got Barbosa Jr. Is that the one that's signed with? Yep. Hearn, is it? Oh no, it's Top Rank, isn't it? Sorry.
I think it's Top Rank. He can fight, Jose Ramirez, I think, is at 140. So that's like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys.
Well, surely if he stayed with Top Rank, he'd have to fight Comey, won't he? Doesn't everyone have to go through Comey?
Oh, mate.
Pedraza.
Richard Comey, he is. I mean, why is he still boxing?
He's
But
a teak tough. He's a teak tough Ghanaian.
Straight out of the canteen.
But there is options. Even if even if he sticks around at Top Rank and decides to move up in weight. I mean, if you win all the belts
building
outright.
a stable at 140. Maybe he'll have him at on the app again, because he's signing a lot of guys at 140. I've noticed. He has your man Hitchens. He's obviously signed Prograis, right?
Yeah.
So he might be building a little stable. It could be a rekindling of that relationship, you know.
Mate, I don't know though. But he was quick to ditch him though, wasn't he? When there wasn't any options for the Cambosos fight though, right?
Yeah, I think.
Or did Haney? I think Haney dumped him because
he did. Yeah, Haney dumped him. Yeah.
Yeah, because Haney said that he they didn't want to make the fight.
Haney dumped him. Yeah.
To get rid of that
Haney was like,
contract,
Haney was like, you know what? If you don't want to make it, I'll make it, and he just took off. Like he wanted to do it. So yeah, Hearn was like, I think it just didn't fit with his plan, and Haney was like, screw off, I'll just do it myself.
I think it's Bill that makes all decisions there anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, he does.
A couple of unsavory rumors about that man. I'm not going to slander him on such a prestigious podcast, but maybe at another meetup we can discuss.
This is not prestigious, mate. Don't worry about that.
Allegedly.
Anyway, right. I think unless anyone else has got anything else to say on Haney versus Lomachenko, I think we'll move on.
Danny, is there anything decent on the undercard of that one?
Oh, let's have a look.
For those that know, it looks from what I could see, it looked fairly decent. But yeah, as you know, I'm not the expert here.
Don't even know if they've got. Let's have a look.
Yeah, it was up there.
We go. Nakatani versus Andrew Maloney. So the other Maloney brothers getting a ride out next week.
Actually.
Yeah, it's not bad actually. I don't mind that one. I'm obviously going with Nakatani on that one because he's. Yeah. I don't know. I just think he's another class, and I think I'm right. It's Andrew Maloney. He's the worst of the two brothers, isn't he? He's not as good. He's not terrible.
No, he's a shittier one.
Yeah. So yeah, Nakatani in that one.
He's the guy who got beat by Franco, isn't he?
What, the Maloney brother?
The Maloney brother.
Yeah,
I think it is.
So just looking. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, that's it. And a no contest and lost twice. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's not a bad fight. I'm just having a look to see if there's anything else. Oh God, Nico Ali Walsh is on it. No, nothing else really that floats my boat on that. Oscar Valdez versus Adam Lopez.
That's not a bad fight. Valdez is a higher level than Lopez, but Lopez he's actually always in a good fight. He'll bring it.
Yeah.
Valdez is open. Yeah, that would be a fun fight.
Let's just hope that Ali Walsh gets knocked out, because talk about riding that effing name all the way into the ground. My God, he sucks bad.
Whose name's that?
I think he's related to a Hall of Famer. I don't remember exactly who, but it's just God. I mean, like on Twitter, they'll be like, "He's
Liam
coming
Walsh?
back." Like
Liam Walsh?
Actually, Joe, looking at this here, this fight's been given 5 stars, but I don't even think I know. The names don't ring any bell right now, but we've got Raymond Muratalia.
Yeah,
versus Jeremiah Nakatilia.
Yeah, Nakatilia is the guy who beat Miguel Berchelt.
Right.
And he got beaten by Shakur Stevenson. He's actually a bit of a banger. That Raymond Muratai he's a top-ranked prospect. Him and his brother Gabriel Muratai, I think. I think they both kind of came on the scene during COVID. I think they might be primary school teachers or something like that. But anyway, they're not bad fighters. But this is a big step up for Raymond. Nakatilia can punch and is no mug. He beat the shit out of Miguel Berchelt. So yeah,
that's a good fight. Could be interesting.
Good fight. Yeah.
Nice.
The other good fight that night is the big one. You're probably going on to it. I'm probably stealing your thunder. Go on.
Go on, say it, and I'll tell you if you're
the
right or not.
the big one at the point, the big one at the point in Dublin.
Yeah, we are going to move on to that, Joe, because you know you're a regular on the Chicks with Digs podcast. So what better chance now to talk about one of your specialist subjects, and that's women in boxing. So who's got the bigger chest? No, I'm joking. I mean, what we're saying on that? Obviously, like we've got. I mean, Katie Taylor. She doesn't have to do much more now, does she? She's like, you know, decorated and all the rest of it, and fair play that she's getting a fight in Dublin and all the rest of it. But like, I mean, come on, like, I actually don't rate. I just don't fancy Cameron at all in this. I don't rate her that much, having seen her in the flesh.
Yeah, I've not seen her in the flesh. I've seen Taylor a few times, and I think she's definitely on the slide. Taylor, she's not. She's been boxing for so long, little like Lomachenko, right? Huge amateur a career under her belt as well. When she moved to the pros with Ross Enamit, like she's not developed much as a fighter. She's not started doing other things that she didn't do in her amateur career. She still boxes kind of a similar way. She doesn't do much body punching. She doesn't throw much uppercuts. She's kind of basic, but she does what she does really well, and she's able to win rounds against girls who are not on her level. She's got great feet, and she can move around the ring really, really well. And she's got unbelievable heart for a fighter, like unbelievable heart. I was at the fight when she was pucked around the ring in the 5th round by Amanda Serrano, and I just don't know how she survived that. And I don't know how she came back and won the second half of the fight, like, you know. She's got massive stones. She's got all those intangibles that you just can't buy or train, and are only in a select few of fighters that, and it's just, you know, I think it's going to be very tough to beat her on her night. Whether Chantel Cameron has the tools to do it, I don't know. I've seen her fight a couple of times. She's not special. I think, probably wouldn't take a special fighter to beat Katie now. Maybe a hungry fighter who's can switch it up and cause her problems and continue to ask her questions through the round. But what Katie's shown is also an adaptability in her fighting as well. She can fight a number of different ways if she needs to, but and do what she needs to do to win. And the judges seem to favour her as well. We must mention she seems to be on the better end of some judging decisions as well. So
I was going to allude to the McCaskill fight, right?
Yeah, the McCaskill fight is not probably the worst, and I think the Delphine Pursoon first fight is probably the worst one. I thought that was a draw, but that's from Katie Taylor.
Sorry, I was talking about McCaskill versus Cameron. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, sorry. No, I think that Taylor's been on the good end of a couple of decisions, so I think that Cameron will probably have to win it pretty clearly to win the fight as well, especially since it's in Dublin.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought Pursoon at least had one of those fights. Probably more the first one, I would have said.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like you say, the Serrano one, but it could have been either way, really.
See, the second fight, she started using the hook, the check hook, and rolling out. And once she kind of set that up, Pursoon didn't have the ability to change up her game plan. I think women's boxing's a little bit like that. That if you're able to do a few things well, you'll beat the person who can do one or two things well. And I think that Cameron's probably one of those female fighters who does one or two things well, but Katie can mix it up, and I think she'll probably do enough.
Hopefully so. Yeah, I was only going to allude to. I thought Cameron against McCaskill was.
Danny, wasn't the?
Sorry, mate. Go on, you.
Sorry, Danny. I was just going to say, wasn't the Jonas fight quite close as well?
For Taylor, yeah. Yeah, it was quite a close one, and I'm right in thinking that Jonas still wants that rematch, right?
Very close as well, obviously. You know, she's had a few very close fights, and won them all. Jonas
would have that rematch as well, wouldn't she?
Yeah, I think she's gone up and down the weights as well since then, but I think she would. I think there's been talk of it as well. It's an easy one to make, I think.
Yeah, easy one. Yeah, sorry, going back to so I was obviously alluding to the Cameron McCaskill outcome, and if I remember rightly, that was a fairly close one as well, which could have gone either way, and that obviously was, I'd probably say, Cameron's kind of best best fight to date. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and no doubt, Joe, that I'm going to guess the atmosphere will be pretty electric for that one, I imagine.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had boxing back in Dublin. Obviously, I'm in New York at the moment, so I'm not going to be going to it. But if I was based in Ireland, I'd be all over it. But it's a good venue for it as well.
Do you think this fight could pave the way for regular boxing in Ireland, or do you still think there's some?
Hopefully so.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. There's always that in the background, you know, the lovely lads or whatever, you know, the great bunch of lads. But hopefully this fight goes off without a hitch, and then that'll entice, you know, more events in the future. And I think we probably need a male boxer coming through to kind of carry the torch and start putting bums on seats. At the moment, there's probably not one that you can really say for certainty that's the guy. I think Gary Cully and, you know, maybe one of the McKenna brothers are kind of showing glimpses of maybe having something, but time will tell whether those guys are going to have big fights in Dublin soon. But that's the hope.
Okay. Well, that's good. There is one more fight I want to spend the next kind of 15 minutes or so just chatting about. And I know it's a couple of weeks' time, but it's Lawrence Okoli versus Chris Billam-Smith. I mean, to most people, this will probably be like a whatever kind of thing. Obviously, Okoli's been stinking the place out recently, and obviously, Chris Billam-Smith, I'll give him his props. He's done pretty well to get himself where he is at the minute, and there's no doubt he's got a bit of a fan base behind him when he fights in his hometown. And I think that's what makes this fight intriguing, that he is in his hometown. They're in Bournemouth Stadium, in the Vitality. He's going to have everyone behind him, everyone against Okoli. I think that Okoli, since he left McGuigan, has not been the same. And I know he's with Sugar Hill right now.
Yeah,
I believe so. So it'd be interesting. I know. Obviously, they haven't had long together, but so it'll be interesting to see what he comes out like in this next one. But I mean, if it was anything like we saw of him recently, then boy, fuck me, we could be in for an interesting night because, Billam-Smith, all right, I think he can be found out to the chin at times. I mean, we've seen him a bit shaky in fights and things like that, but he has got balls though. He's got balls, and I think that's what intrigues me about this one. Justin, any interest in this from stateside point of view?
West. Continue for 14 miles.
Shut up. Oh, sorry, she was telling me to do something. Sorry. Yeah, it's funny though because Okoli was finally starting to get people to like him, and then all of a sudden he went back to the exact same boxer he was. It's just weird. You never see a guy all of a sudden just go back to exactly what he was when he changed his style, and then he just become boring as hell again. Like, just I don't know. That was weird. I just thought that was weird that all of a sudden it's like, bam, I'm back. Because I think if he keeps the style he had with McGuigan, he'll knock Billam-Smith out. I think if he kind of went back to that aggressive, how he was fighting under McGuigan, I think Billam-Smith, he gets rocked to every fight he's in. He gets hurt pretty much every fight at least once. So I think if Okoli has it, I think Okoli wins either way. I think if he keeps his just horrible style, he wins. And I think if he keeps his old McGuigan style, he wins. I think he wins either way. But yeah, you hope he comes out and tries because Billam-Smith is going to try. He's going to go for it. That's just who he is. That's his style. So it's a great fight if they both go for it, but I don't think Okoli will.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see how many tickets they do in that stadium. But I mean, they could end up with 15,000 potentially.
Well, they've expanded they've just expanded it, haven't they, to 15,000.
So I mean,
I think it was about 11.5, 12 its capacity as a normal stadium, and they've tried to increase it. But I've not heard any rumours that it's sold out at that lower number, and I struggle. I mean, I'm a South Coast boy, as you know, so I personally struggle to see how Chris Billam-Smith can sell out a sleepy town, seaside town in as is Bournemouth. I'm probably doing Bournemouth disservice, but I'm a Pompey boy, so I don't care. But yeah, that they've applied to get it to 15, but it won't be all be for Chris Billam-Smith. I was trying to work out, is McKinson on that card.
Yes, he is. Yeah, Michael
Is he?
McKinson's on it. Yeah, no opponent yet, but yeah.
Well, KSI's cousin, right? TBC.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm even debating on getting a ticket for this if there's some available, because it's only an hour or so from me.
Yeah,
and
not far away, are we really?
No, and I just think that that really is like, you know, to kind of obviously talk on football terms. That's a home fixture for Bilham Smith, and he's going to have everyone rallying behind him on that. I mean, I've rarely seen a Coley turn up with an absolute tranche of supporters. You know what I mean? Like,
agreed.
Where did I see a Coley fight? God, I'm racking my brain now. I've definitely seen him at least twice, and he's had little to no support whatsoever. So I think that's that you have to bring that factor into it. You know, with a load of screaming Bournemouth fans behind him, Chris Bilham Smith could be pumped up for this one.
I agree with you, Danny. Absolutely. I'll be intrigued to know how many are there for him, or just because there's a boxing match going on in Bournemouth, or boxing fight, you know, boxing event going on in Bournemouth.
Well, there's not much going on at Bournemouth. You get the odd fingering down on the beach, didn't you? But other than that, at all was there. So
with some diamond white.
Mr. Kennedy, you got any interest in this one, or do you think it could be another a Coley snooze fest?
No, I think CBS is a pretty good fight usually, so I'll tune into this. And I think the Coley Sugar Hill link up hasn't worked yet, and I'd wonder whether, you know, the emphasis on knockouts that Sugar Hill seems to have. You know, obviously Emmanuel Stewart was kind of the same, but like they all seem to want to land the big shots, and yeah, if he lands on Chris Bilham Smith, he's definitely got the power to knock him out. But if he, for whatever reason, doesn't land it, you can see Bilham Smith kind of racking up the points and accumulating the damage over the period, over the fight. Like, could also see Octopus Arms just stinking out the place as well, and just grappling and rappling and just not letting CBS work. But I think I'll watch it definitely. I think I'd give Bilham Smith some good chance in the fight. Is that next weekend as well?
So week after next.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Danny, I'm just looking at the actual undercard, and in fair play, I mean, Shalom's had a bit of a beating this week, hasn't he, with everything going on with the British heavyweight title fight. But he's actually selected quite a few local boxers. So, you know, you'd like to think that whether they're Bournemouth locals, there's a fighter from Southampton, there's McKinson from Portsmouth, I think there's even the guy from Brighton, you know. He might be able to get...
I'm gonna actually throw out a fight that's right on the bottom of this card, yeah, and I actually don't mind it, right? And it's Sam Eggington versus Joe Pickford.
Yeah, I saw that one as well. It's a good fight. Sounds like it's going to be a banger, right?
I don't hate that at all. Like, I don't hate that at all.
Say Pickford versus Eggington.
Yeah.
That was a good fight. Yeah.
Yeah, because Eggington always brings it, so his fights are always at least entertaining.
He's always in a fight of the year contender, right?
Yeah, he can't help himself because he doesn't have any defense, and he always comes forward. So it's always going to be a fight.
Yeah.
And actually, to be honest with you, I don't know whether this will be the co-main or whatever else, but the Mikhail Lowell versus Isaac Chamberlain ain't a bad fight at cruiserweight for the British title either.
Yeah.
I've seen Mikhail Lowell. He was on the undercard out in Latvia on the Usyk versus Bradis undercard out there.
Are these all the Hennessy guys? Wasn't Chamberlain, Eggington all on his that Channel 5 thing? So now they're all doing the boxer thing.
Yeah,
I was going to say, because now they're all just on his undercard.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, like you say,
Chamberlain's not a bad fighter.
No. Actually, Chamberlain, I've seen him in the flesh. Actually, Chamberlain against, oh my God, who's the guy from Swindon? A bit of a beard on him. Oh my God, that's going to annoy me. Let's have a click, because otherwise it's going to really annoy me. But I was at this fight. It was Luke Watkins. There we go. Luke Watkins. I was at that fight. And then obviously I was disappointed that Chamberlain didn't put up much of a performance again against Okoli, but obviously I think Okoli kind of again stank that one out a little bit. It wasn't a great fight. So, but yeah, that card's looking all right. I mean, like, I'll take it if there's 3 or 4 decent fights on it, and it seems like there might be. So, before we wrap it up, gents, I'm just going to kind of put you all on the spot a little bit, just as a bit of a random question. But I'm going to ask you all to name your one fighter that's impressed you this year so far. And I know obviously many of these fighters now only bloody fight once a year or whatever, or twice if you're lucky. But is there any one fighter this year so far that's impressed you? And I know we're only early on. Again, we're coming up to halfway in the year. So I didn't know if you had one fighter in particular that you'd think. Who was that? Sorry, mate.
David Morrell.
Morrell, yeah.
Yeah, obviously he's been super impressive straight out the blocks, but I think the last win he just got against that Falcao fella, and the previous fight before that, I can't try to remember who it was, but he's not messing around with these guys now. He just whoever he's in, he's got this offensive arsenal. He just goes through the gears and just gets rid of these guys, and he's big for the weight. He just seems fucking savage. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does next.
Yeah, do you reckon they'll match him up with someone fairly competitive next, or do you think they're just going to kick? Because he's only 9 fights in, so.
Yeah, I think so. Like I saw a Twitter rumor, which you can put as much weight on that as you like, but saying that he had turned down the fight with your man Martin Caceres, the Argentinian who'd fought Billy Joe Saunders. Trying to remember, he beat someone prospect at 160. Oh, Edgar Berlanga. He gave Edgar Berlanga a good fight. So I'd heard that he'd turned down that fight, which would surprise me because I think he'd absolutely eat him up. I think he's above that now. I think he's probably looking to pick off a fringe level 168, maybe I don't know, Romer Angulo or something like that. Someone in and around world level, and then probably wait around for the Canelo fight.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We'll see what happens with him next. I mean, like you say, he hasn't had many fights, but I definitely think that's a boxer that could probably step up in levels kind of sooner rather than later. Absolutely.
He looks like he's got it all.
Yeah.
I got to bounce, so great chatting to you, but I'll look forward to catching up later on.
No worries, Joe. Take care. All the best.
Look.
Justin, well, I know obviously I'm putting you on the spot here, so if you haven't got a name, then don't worry. But I just have you got anything on in mind?
I know it's stupid, but the first one that came to mind was Rigondeaux, just because we thought he was blind, like as of 6 months ago, and then he fought like what? You remember? Everybody thought he was dead. Like people thought he was dead. Like he was like completely. You saw the pictures. That was just funny to me. I thought he was blind, and then he fought. But I guess I would have to say the most impressed I've been this year was probably John Ryder, because I mean I didn't think he was going to hang in the whole time. I mean, I know it's not this. It's a different kind of level of impression. I mean, he didn't win, but just as far as impressed, the fact that he made it all the way to the end and that he was like throwing shots, that it's just that I thought that was impressive to me. I think those two things stood out the most to me. Was the blind guy coming back and the fact that Ryder in front of a lot of Mexicans and everything against him, just face all busted up.
To North Carolina.
I thought that was impressive to me. That was the most impressive I've seen this year.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been on the podcast or anything and had my say about it, but do you know what? I mean, for a fan who's been to many of John's fights, I was really impressed with him. I mean, like you say, he was so ballsy, and yes, he broke his nose and all the rest of it, and got off the floor. But no disgrace there. He showed everything that John's about, and I love the nickname Gorilla for him because it just suits him. It really is.
He basically won the fight. It is like if you kind of look at it, he come out of that with I mean, yeah, he did technically win, but he might as well won. I mean, he come out of that with like there's nothing. He come out of that, his career, everything is still like he come out of that perfect. I mean, because he lost no face in that. He lost no respect. Anything.
Absolutely. He gained respect, if anything. So.
Yeah.
it's interesting, right? Because I saw someone talking the other day about whether Canelo's defence has gone south, and I'm not saying it hasn't, but I kind of almost felt that equally no one gave Ryder the credit for actually just kind of taking it to him as well. You know, was it the 9th round? Was it the 8th or 9th? Where, you know, you start to see he really got some success, and he was like pumping his chest, like Gorilla saying, "Come on!" And I just thought, you know, is it actually that Canelo has started to, you know, deteriorate, or actually was it that Ryder actually just took it to him for once? I mean, he didn't get that with. I mean, Billy Joe Saunders was okay, but I didn't get the same vibe as I did with Ryder.
No.
And
but
it was yeah, I agree. I think he was never going to win it, but it was at least he showed fair in terms of when he turned up, you know.
Yeah, he showed more than Golovkin did in the 3rd fight.
Exactly. And definitely more than Callum Smith.
Golovkin didn't go for it. Callum Smith didn't go for it. At least Ryder tried. That's all you ever ask watching a boxing fight. You know, I mean, you know how this stuff's going to play out, but you just want the other guy to try, to show up, and that's what he did.
Yeah, and couldn't breathe out his nose from about the 2nd round, could he? After he busted it, so you know. Again,
I honestly think if Hearn doesn't throw Ryder under the bus, which I don't think he will, because I think he knows there's still value in Ryder, I think he could potentially win a title at some point. Like if the belts get fragmented by Canelo pissing around. So I don't know. We'll see. But no, good answer there, Justin. Damo, just on you, last one there. Like, is it any one name?
Well, I was just trying to wrap my brain to see if he fought this year, because you said this year, but I do like the look of Nick Ball under Queensberry. I think there's some opportunity there, you know, as a domestic fighter. And in fact, actually, isn't he fighting? He's fighting on the Copland undercard, isn't he?
I have no idea, mate. Truth be told.
Yeah, is the Conlon fight? Is that the same weekend that we've just been talking about with Chris Billum-Smith? And is that the same weekend as? Is it Lara fighting Woods again? Is that the triple header?
I'm just having a look for now, but I think there's a clash, isn't there? Oh God.
Yeah, there's all 3 of them are up against each other, and I'm sure they said that the Conlon fight would, you know, main event would go first.
I'm just having a look.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
All right, no, it's all right. You caught me off guard there.
just playing it back to you after you've caught me off guard.
Let's have a look. So the Lopez, which is on the 20th, yeah, so it's on the 27th of May. And Nick Ball is on the undercard, mate. Yeah, you're right, against Ludamo Lamati.
Yeah, no idea.
No idea, but it's for some WBC bauble of some sort. But yeah, no, Nick Ball's a good name, mate. Has he fought this year? I'm sure he has.
I'm not sure, but certainly a prospect.
No, he hasn't. No, it's his first fight this year. So
my apologies.
But one to look out for then, yeah. No, it's fine. All good.
I think so. I mean, that card, that Belfast card, looks pretty good order from what I can see.
Yeah, there's a
You've
few.
got O'Leary on it, haven't you? You've got O'Leary's on there. Ball's on there.
Kakachi,
that was it. Yeah.
Not bad.
Anyway.
Not bad. So last thing from me, obviously, I just think if Liam Smith wins the rematch against Eubank, and I think it was more of a case of, obviously, I know Justin's mentioned Ryder, and I probably would have thrown his name in the hat there as well. But I think for Liam Smith, like, if he wins that rematch in the same fashion that he won the first fight, I think sky's the limit for him, really. And at his age, you know, and he's had a lot of fights. He has had a lot of fights. I think that's fair play if you can get one last payday against a big name. Although I don't think there's many big names at middleweight these days, is there? I think it's one of the weights that kind of seems to struggle a little bit of recent times. But yeah, no, I think Liam Smith has impressed me. Mind you, again, I'm saying that was that last year or was that this year? I've got
I think that was this year, beginning of the year, wasn't it?
Oh, I'd like to think so. I've got no idea now.
It was this year. I'm
it was
pretty
this
sure.
year. It was in January. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am right. So with the rematch, I think if he wins in emphatic fashion again, which I think he could do. I think he's really gonna put his name on the map for being one of the best British fighters potentially. I don't know. It could be. He's fought, and he hasn't ducked anyone. To be fair, he's fought them all. So, and he got that. I mean, he's got one loss on his record that I didn't agree with, and that was that one out in Russia. But then, that was to be predicted, to be honest with you. But yeah, anyway, I'm waffling on now, and I'm running out of beer, so we'll wrap it up. So obviously, I want to say thank you to Justin, the North Carolina Assassin, for jumping on. Thank you, mate. Thank you for Damo, and obviously thank you for Mr. Joe Kennedy, the head of the Prediction League. I shall just answer this quickly before we go. Yimmy Yappy sending a message saying Ted is gay. Well, I'll tell you what, Yimmy, I will find that out. I will find that out in Nottingham in a few weeks' time, and I'll let you know if he is or not. All right, then, matey. But I won't.
And we all know about Yimmy, don't we? We all know what the Yimmy does.
Well, I'll be dyeing my hair ginger that night, so it won't be a problem. Right. Anyway. Thank you, gents. It's been good.
Later, guys.
And all the best. And we will catch you for another Nutters call soon. Cheers. All the best.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.